Hey there, cats and kitties. I'm the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, we'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 5 of the anime series DanMachi Gaiden Sword Oratoria. Holy hell, man. One of the overhanging, lingering questions I had after the previous episode that I touched upon in my episode discussion video was this mystery, murderous character. This really super powerful woman, aligned with this guy who had approached Lulune in the bar tavern and given her this secret package that had belonged to the guy who had been killed and everything. And who was this guy? Who was he in tandem with her? It seems like she was the one probably summoning forth the plants, but then it seemed like he was, and I even had said, unless like she's a shapeshifter and they're both the same person, maybe it's people working in tandem with each other. I didn't quite know. And do we find in this episode, this guy is actually the woman, the murderer from the previous episode. She's wearing a flesh mask, a la Texas Chainsaw Massacre, roving around as this guy. I think we found that, she had beheaded the guy she murdered, so very easy for her to do that. I'm not sure why she did, other than to make it easier to rove around, as she says. As to why she gave Lulune this egg that, I think they refer to it as an egg, the creature inside it and everything is unleashed in this episode, and the battles that are ensuing. Not only do we have actual physical, fisticuff-like battles going on, being waged in the dungeon with these plant creatures, and much as I assumed, all of Loki familia that was there on the site, they were all, throwing down and destroying these plant creatures and everything. Even, Eyes getting involved at one point, and she had issued Lafia the mission statement to take care of Lulune, protect her, keep her safe. And of course, we see Eyes and this murderess, this Tamer, for all intents and purposes. We don't really have a name, I don't think. They're just referring to her as a Tamer because she tamed these plant creatures, and she can command them and wield them as so much weaponry. And so this Tamer, she and Eyes butt heads, and she seems to have a familiarity with Eyes, or at the very least, someone who is related to her. She sees Eyes and she refers to her as Arya, and I'm like, okay, what the hell is this? And this does seem to spurn a level of, like a quizzical look in Eyes, like it sounds familiar, but I don't know where it's familiar from. This is confusing to me, kind of how she had a similar reaction to the egg in the previous episode when they saw it at the end of the previous episode, when laying her eyes upon it. It seemed to befuddle her, and something was going on in her brain. Something was triggered in her mind, and it's hard to tell what exactly. But as we see in this flashback, as she's hearing this name Arya, as this Tamer is referring to her as such, and confusing her, I think, with potentially whom I believe to be maybe like Eyes' elder sister or something. I had first thought maybe it was her mother, but I don't know of the likelihood of that. I don't think the age range, the gap between she and this older sort of version, this Arya woman in the flashback when Eyes presumably was a child, I don't think the age gap is large enough to say, oh, that's probably her mother. And the fact that she left willingly with whom I'm presuming to be a lover or something in that flashback, leaving the child Eyes to sort of, cry to herself that she was left behind, This speaks more so to an elder sibling rather than a parent. A parent wouldn't do that, for all intents and purposes. So I have to believe that whomever this Tamer is, she's at least familiar with the lineage that Eyes hails from, and probably has had a run-in with her elder sibling, her sister. It's just my thorough speculation. I'm putting it out there. That seems to be the gist that I got. The look and the feel and the vibe that I got from that. But she's thrown down, and Eyes is practically having her ass handed to her in a very shocking sort of twist. You almost have this believability that Eyes can stand toe to toe with anything and anyone. She is almost invincible. She's almost OP. She's almost through the roof and everything. And that's one of the things I championed in the previous episode, talking about, she is fallible. She is not invincible. And that's something that makes her more humanizing. And I really appreciate that. I like being able to see that Eyes is not all conquering, all powerful. That there are levels to which she's held back and she's restrained, and whatever these revelatory memories are, whatever that has to do with, whether these were things that were stolen from her or she suppressed, to be able to focus on living her life and everything. I don't know. It just seems like a shocking, group of revelations being thrown at her that she's really having a hard time sort of reconciling. And so we see that she's really just throwing down. After the Tamer chick, she tries to chase after her, but after she is gone and has managed to get away, escaped over a cliff, by the way, into the water. Would probably kill a normal human being, but this chick is OP on her own, of her own accord. After all is said and done, we see Eyes throwing down with a bunch of skeleton warriors and things like that, just wreaking havoc and really trying to process that inner frustration she has, whether that be these past revelations coming back to haunt her, shocking her because she had so long forgotten them, suppressed them, whatever it is. I don't know exactly, but everyone was really concerned for Eyes by the end of the episode. You had the boss guy and Riveria saying, Eyes basically asks, can I stay behind in the dungeon? Can I still sort of exude this frustration and just process it and get it out, vent it? And also try to become stronger, try to level up, because now we see what a threat this Tamer is. I gotta really hunker down, and I gotta be brass tacks about this. I know what my limitations are. I gotta hunker down, get stronger, so I can face her and be toe-to-toe with her the next time we encounter her. And the boss cat, Finn, this guy was like Yoda in the prequels in this episode. He was holding himself toe-to-toe with this Tamer chick, and I was just like, hell yes. You look at this little scrawny bastard, he's like a kid, for crying out loud, and because he's level 5 or level 6 or whatever like that, he is, if not exactly toe-to-toe with this Tamer chick, maybe slightly edging her out, and it's too much for her. With everybody coming together and then knowing that he is such a high level, to match her own or what have you, that's too much. There's too much for her to contend with. So that's why she escapes. But to see him holding his own against her, that was freaking awesome. But of course, he reluctantly decides to go along with Riviera's, promise to say, well, I'm going to keep an eye on Eyes, let her stay behind, let her do what she needs to do, conduct herself. She's cruising for a bruising. She's leading to a sort of self-destruct mode, if you will. She's going to explode, and I want to be there. I want to be there to support her and help her and understand it and see what's going to happen when it inevitably does. And out of everyone that, Finn can trust in Loki Familia, Riviera is the one to be the guidepost, is the one to be the shoulder to lean on for Eyes and everything like that. So that was all fantastic and fabulous. I loved all the throwing down. I loved all the action, everything like that. Lafia, for her part, did not have so much of the focus, for better or worse. I much more am intrigued by Eyes. I want to know more about her. That's what I thought this whole season was going to be about. And we've learned a little bit more about Lafia here and there. She's taken more of the spotlight and focus a little bit in the previous episodes thus far. But we're angling more toward Eyes, which I really appreciate, wanting to figure out what exactly is up with her past, whether that was stuff that was brainwashed out of her, whether that was stuff she forgot and suppressed, whether it's, why does it seem like an ugly truth that was suddenly revealed to her? Is it because of this threat, this Tamer woman is the one who brought it forth and reminded her of that stuff? Or is it something deeper and darker? I don't really know. We go back to that one reference in the one episode where Loki was telling Eyes you have to keep on the down low your levels and your powers and everything like that, akin to what Hestia was telling Belle in the first season. And why is that? Why? What influence do they have? What influence is there over them? What is the grander picture? Why keep that suppressed? Why keep that hidden? I don't know if that's a human-wide thing in the realm of DanMachi, where everyone has to keep their levels and their powers and everything for fear of being stolen or ripped away. Has to keep that on the down low, has to keep it hidden, out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. I'm not exactly sure, but it just seems to paint a larger, grander picture to who Eyes is and what her past has to do with all of this. And it seems like some level of her past is rearing its ugly head in the form of this Tamer and other machinations that are going on. And that's the other leg that drops in the episode Loki is just like, F it. I'm going straight to Uranus, and I'm going to find out what in the hell is going on. And at first they don't want to, his posse doesn't want to let her in, and he's like, go ahead, let her in. I'll entertain this for the time being. And I gotta say, what is it with villains in any medium, but especially in anime? You walk into their room, they're on sort of a throne, and there's nothing. There's nothing around them. I mean, this guy, Uranus, is he just sitting in that throne all day, every day, meditating or otherwise? The whole room is dark. There's nothing. There's just emptiness, for as far as the eye can see. And like, so what's he doing in there? At least put a TV in, something like that. Give him some internet, Wi-Fi, and other stuff. But Loki gets right up in his face and point blank asks him, hey, this monsterphilia, it was a crap show, wasn't it? But isn't that the point? Maybe monsters run amok. Maybe there was more to it, and could any one of your familia maybe have had something to do with this? Somebody in your guild and everything? And of course, he shoots her down completely. No, it was nothing to do with my people. No reason to suspect them. All this kind of stuff. Oh, just the picture of innocence, and. Of course, Loki, I don't think she buys it for a minute. She says, all right, that's cool. I'll catch you later. But I don't believe she buys it for 1 minute. And then we have this mysterious cloaked character in the shadows. I think Uranus called him Fells, and I think we've seen that name cropping up before in this season thus far. And I can't remember off the top of my head if we have or not for sure. But whomever this is has a very otherworldly voice and is saying, at the bottommost brass tacks sort of outcome of all of this, let's not make Loki an enemy. Whatever is going on, whoever is actually behind it, whether involved in, the Uranus Familia Guild, whatever you want to call it, or not, let's not pick and choose our enemies here. Let's not make an enemy of Loki. She's never going to let it drop. She's going to be a thorn on our sides. It's going to be a problem, an ongoing one at that. And, so obviously Uranus is for all of his, we're just a picture of innocence. There's nothing going on here. We don't know what you're talking about. That's all bull honky, He knows exactly what's going on. Whether he is involved or not, he is at least by association familiar with what is going on. And he's up to stuff. We already knew that from the word go for this particular season, sort of Oratoria. We already knew that. So it just confirms that. And I suspect, even though Loki is leaving saying, all right, I'll let it go for now, I don't think she believes it for a minute that he is the picture of innocence. I believe she knows, she confirmed for herself that something suspicious is going on with Uranus. And so, like, overall, the entire episode was just all kinds of badass. And like I said, the revelations to do with Aiza's past and this potential sister figure to her, Arya. Where is she? What happened to her? Why did she leave with this guy? In the OP, you see whom I believed to be Eyes and this guy that we actually see in this flashback who took this potential sister Arya away with him, and I had just assumed that was Eyes in the OP during that segment, and I didn't know who this guy was. I thought this was a guy that would show up later, maybe be a love interest, something like that. Brief though it might have been because of whatever's going on between Eyes and Belle going back to the first season. And but in fact, I guess that was a nod to the flashback to Eyes' presumptuous sister and this guy that, stole her away or whatever you want to say in her past. And it's cool that we're getting a tip of the hat to be able to learn a little more about Eyes now and her past and her family and her upbringing and where she came from and how that is working in tandem with the evil and ominous machinations of the antagonists is that much more pitch perfect because, it's not like an A-line story and a B-line story and they just happen to coincide or they're working, like flowing alongside each other. It's all intertwined. It's all part of the same grand story and the grand design. And I appreciate it that much more for that, Again, having this Tamer revealed to be wearing the flesh mask over her head rather than being a shapeshifter or something, as I speculated, a god herself, a fallen god or whatever like that, somebody in, Uranus's familia, and the jury's still out on that. She could be involved with him more directly, who knows. And for all we know, I mean, maybe that was Fells. Maybe she is Fells, this cloaked character who was talking to Uranus. I have no idea. But that's what I love. I love the grand mystery. I loved all of the action. It was, again, shocking to see Eyes so treated like a rag doll by this Tamer, but that makes her more humanized, you know, more realistic, that she can't conquer all. And that's something I really loved about, as I've talked about before, the first season of DanMachi, Bel Crannel was very realistic in, like, all of the achievements he had to gun toward. He fought and he trained and he did it hard. It was hardship after hardship, hurdle after hurdle that he had to jump over, and he managed to succeed in the end, so you felt satisfied by that. And whereas Eyes begins very much a strong character, you see that, again, she is not OP. She is not, you know, infallible and invincible. There's more to her. There's much more of a human center to her. And you got hints of that in the first season, but I like that we're getting a lot more of that in this season. And so yeah, enjoyed the episode overall. Love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of it as well. Anything goes in the comments below. Love or to hate it. Just love having that conversation. Otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace.